action. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor. Turn that keeper into a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen. I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's blow this town, break the speed of sound. Tonight, we own the road. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Red light on the highway, blue lights flashing behind me. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat.
Less than 24 hours away from Night of Champions, WWE tonight mailed it in with a taped episode of SmackDown. They taped 2 shows last week. This was show number 2. And in case you couldn't tell that they had taped 2 shows last week, the artificial noise on the show tonight was in hyperdrive. Thank you. Thank you very much. We had fake booing, we had fake cheering up and down the show all night long, to the point where it was extremely distracting. I mean, to the point where they weren't even matching up the crowd shots with the noises that we were hearing, and so it was more hilarious than anything else. You know, WWE, it's not like they haven't done this before. They do it every week. But tonight was atrocious when it comes to the crowd sweetening on this show. It was awful. Absolutely awful, and distracting in many segments, taking away from what we were actually seeing on screen, which should never happen. Nothing that they do on the production end of things should ever take away from the actual wrestlers, the promos, the matches, what we're seeing going on in the ring before our eyes. That should never happen. So that was absolutely terrible. But I guess they felt that the crowd was so dead that they had to do something to liven them up. And look, we sat through the COVID-era shows that they gave us from an empty performance center in Orlando, where we had nobody in the crowd. We had empty chairs in the crowd. Where Steve Austin once stood saying, "Give me a hell yeah," and he stood there, and there was nobody there to say hell yeah. So we've seen the worst of the worst when it comes to not having any crowd at all. I would much rather have a dead crowd than whatever the hell they did tonight. Fucking butchered this show. But it did not take away from the best part of the show, which was the Bloodline. The Bloodline was all over the show tonight. They had several segments here on SmackDown. And the story now has shifted from the tension with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns to the tension between Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. Right? We all know Roman and Jey have had their issues and their disagreements before. But Jimmy now is getting a little more aggravating, shall we say, for Roman Reigns, because he's not falling in line like the rest of the Bloodline is. And so it has created these moments of tension in these Bloodline segments, and it nearly boiled over tonight in multiple segments, including at the end of the show, which ended with Roman 4 belts. He was holding up all the championships, which could be the site. They want you to think that could be the site we could end up with tomorrow at the end of Night of Champions. I, at least now, I'm a little more confident that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be leaving Jeddah with their tag team titles after Roman was left standing tall at the end of the show tonight. That and the fact that he and Sami have many more challengers already lined up than Roman and Solo would. Roman and Solo win the tag belts. Who do they have? They have a rematch with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, or they have the inevitable showdown with the Usos. That's pretty much it. So I'm pretty confident that we're not going to end up with Roman 4 belts tomorrow. But tomorrow is a very significant day, because tonight was the 999th day that Roman Reigns has been Universal Champion. $9.99. That's how much the WWE Network was. Which means tomorrow is day number 1,000. That's why they kept the championship on him at WrestleMania this year. It was all about this moment. They wanted to rewrite history. They wanted to update the record books and get him to 1,000. So they're going to get their big wish tomorrow. And then on SmackDown next Friday, it's the 1,000-day championship celebration, where the entire Bloodline is invited. Unless the Usos cost them the tag team titles even inadvertently tomorrow, then maybe they'll be disinvited from the celebration next week. But that is what they were promoting for SmackDown next Friday. So we'll talk about this show, and then I'll run down the card one more time for Night of Champions tomorrow. I'll run down the card probably a little bit later on for Double or Nothing as well, because we have not one, not two, but 3 pay-per-views this weekend. NXT Battleground is running head-to-head with Double or Nothing. But obviously we'll be reviewing Double or Nothing, which is the far bigger show and the much better show on paper. So I'll run down the cards for both those shows, but I am the Solomonster. This is your SmackDown review here on Friday, May 26, 2023. I know it's a taped show and kind of a useless show, to be honest with you, because not only was it taped a week ago, but it was a show that was meant to really promote tomorrow's show, which is less than 24 hours from now. And after Night of Champions tomorrow, ain't nobody going to be talking about this SmackDown show tonight. So at least you're here with me, and we'll talk about it now, while it still has some relevance. Like and subscribe. If we can get 300 likes tonight, I set the goal a lot lower than normal, because I am a little under the weather. I'm going to hopefully be able to get through this trouble-free here, but I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. So 300 likes is all we need tonight to hit Be the Booker, although it does feel like kind of a dead night. I know some people were excited, by the way, to hear Racing Queen back at the beginning of the stream, wondering what's changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. I'm sure that's going to get this video demonetized. So anyway, your super chats will be more appreciated than usual tonight, because it will probably make up for the inevitable demonetization. But I know some of you like the song, and I was in the mood for it. I said, what the fuck? We'll play Racing Queen here tonight. So hopefully you appreciated that. And as I said, super chats are open. We'll hang out a little bit later on. Bobby's World just gifted a channel membership. We had somebody else. It might have been Bobby, actually. Was it Bobby? Was it you who gifted one a few minutes ago? Thank you for that. Silver Tower, by the way, on the Dynamite stream. We had a couple of people who went nuts on the Dynamite stream on Wednesday night. It was Drew Johnson, who was dropping $50 bombs every few minutes like the dollar was going out of style. And then Silver Tower gifted 70 channel memberships in one night. So I don't know if Silver Tower is with us right now, but that's deserving of a shout out over the course of 2 streams. Is all I have to say about that. So thank you to those 2. So let's get into this SmackDown show here, which opened with the United States Championship on the line. Austin Theory, who was not defending his title at Night of Champions. You know, traditionally in the past, Night of Champions was the night where all titles were defended. I think typically that was the case. I'm sure there may have been exceptions. Most of the championships are being defended tomorrow. Obviously, the women's tag team titles are vacant. They'll be decided on Raw Monday night. But there is no U.S. title match. Intercontinental titles on the line. No United States Championship match. So we got it tonight. He was defending one-on-one against Sheamus. Theory landed a rolling blockbuster. Sheamus came back with the Irish Curse backbreaker power slam for a 2 count. They went for Theory went for another rolling blockbuster. This time, though, he got met with a knee strike right to the face. Sheamus teased the 10 beats. Theory kicked his way out of it. And Fahad said, now's a good time to drop a 150. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're having a party here on the street. We're Barry Horowitz now. We're that I thought it was $150 super chat that Fahad just dropped on me. That was a $227 super chat. Are you kidding me? That's deserving of 2 cheers. We got all the crowd noise here tonight. 227. And I thought for sure ain't nobody going to be topping Drew and Silver Tower from the other night. Fahad. Wow. You know what? I'm not even going to wait to read Fahad's. I'm going to read it right now. He says, I could not catch any of the streams live the last couple of weeks due to my work and the time difference. I'm on my way to Jeddah now to watch Night of Champions live, hoping it will be a good one. Keep up the great work. Well, Fahad, have fun at the show. Hey, maybe you'll bump into Fawaz. I have it on good authority that our good friend Fawaz, who has shown up many times in the past at the previous Saudi shows with some signage representing the podcast, is going to be in the crowd again tomorrow, probably on the hard camera side, and he may have some more sound off representation. So if you are watching Night of Champions tomorrow, do me a favor, keep an eye out, and if you see any sound off sign, that's going to be from Fawaz. Tweet me a screenshot or something, and I'll share it with everybody. So, Fahad, wow, man, you blew me away. I'm getting into the first match here. And this has been a pretty crappy day. I've been under the weather, but that made me feel happy. So, Fahad, thank you. Wow. Man. How do you top that? Well, I'll tell you how you top that. Sheamus went for the 10 beats. Theory kicked his way out of it. He grabbed a chair. Ridge Holland, though, took it away from him. Sheamus then got him in place for the 10 beats. 10 beats turned into 25 beats. By the time he was done, this crowd actually was responding. You didn't have to pipe anything in here. They were giving this guy a standing ovation. So as Sheamus was setting up for the bro kick, Pretty Deadly showed up at ringside, and they attacked Butch and Ridge Holland. Then they climbed up on the apron. They got Sheamus's attention, which resulted in Theory rolling up Sheamus for the win. Boo. Boo, man, this crowd was so loud. You heard all the boos here. So Theory pins Sheamus with a roll-up to retain the United States Championship. I thought it was a decent opener. Looks like, I guess coming out of this, it looks like we may be getting a six-man tag in the next couple of weeks. Sheamus, Butch, Ridge Holland taking on Theory, and Pretty Deadly would be my guess. The thing I like about this, though, Pretty Deadly just debuted. They just made their debut, and already they're locked into their first program. So I like that. It just shows that they had some plan in mind for them. So many times in the past, people get called up from NXT. They don't always have a plan for them. They kind of flounder. Hopefully that's not the case with Pretty Deadly. I think that they're going to be a solid addition to that tag team division. There are a couple of chicken shit heels. We've seen them, though, in NXT. They do have a mean streak to them. I don't want to necessarily see them just be a joke tag team, but I think that they are a solid addition here to the SmackDown roster, and now at least they have a program here to sink their teeth into, so I think that's a positive. Now, shout out to Pillow v. Pillow, who gifted 5 channel memberships. So Juan in the chat says, my first channel membership. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the club. Thank you, Pillow. As soon as we're done here, that's where my head is going. My head is going on the pillow because I got to get my rest here because we got another stream to do tomorrow afternoon. But backstage in the Bloodline locker room, Roman Reigns told Paul Heyman to share the news with the Usos. Usos were sitting there. Everyone was there. For Roman, of course, he was looking straight ahead. He tells Paul Heyman, tell him the news. And Paul Heyman, even though he could have shared the news himself, he was sitting right next to them. Paul Heyman told the Usos, he said, the tribal chief feels bad about you guys not coming to Saudi Arabia for Night of Champions. So he is inviting you to the 1,000-day celebration on SmackDown next Friday. He said, for the greatest title reign of all time. Roman said that he wants the whole family there, especially Jay, throwing some shade at Jimmy, and Jimmy caught on to that. He didn't like that very much. He looked over at Jay and said, see, what did I tell you? So Jimmy said, look, he's going to go get some food. He was going to leave and go get some food. And Roman told him, he got up, and Roman told him to sit down. And Jimmy refused, and Roman got up in his face. and told him to do something about it. And Jimmy thought about it, and Roman said, nothing's changed since we were kids. He whooped him then, and he would whoop him again now. And Jimmy is going to respect him, he said. He's going to acknowledge him. Then he told him to leave his locker room. So this got real tense. And Jey Uso stood up. He tried to get between them and calm things down and tried to play peacemaker. And he and Jimmy left together. So there was some good tension here. You know, they keep mentioning the fact that the Usos are not going to be at Night of Champions. And it's very possible that maybe they won't be. I would find that very hard to believe. I still expect them to not only be at Night of Champions, I think they're absolutely going to factor into the finish of that match. Most likely trying, under the guise of trying to help Roman and Solo win something with Jimmy. It's going to blow up. It's going to backfire. It's going to cost them the match. Create even more tension going into the 1,000-day celebration next week. I would be very surprised if we end up not seeing the Usos on that show tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. We had Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi. They are a brand new tag team because Liv Morgan is going to be out for a while with a shoulder injury. We still don't know what the exact injury is. I've heard torn rotator cuff. I've heard other things. WWE hasn't said. But she's got a pretty serious injury since they stripped them of the tag team titles. They're not expecting her back anytime soon. So it's Raquel and Shotzi now. They took on Bayley and Io Sky. These are two of the teams that are in the Fatal 4-Way on Monday night to crown new women's tag team champions. It's going to be these two teams, in addition to Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. That's coming up on the Memorial Day episode of Raw this Monday. No signs of any issues here throughout the entire match, up until the finish between Bayley and Io Sky. They were working together just fine until the finish. Match broke down. All four women were in the ring. Bayley tried a sunset flip off the top rope. What happened is she went too far. She was supposed to come off with a sunset flip, grab Raquel. Raquel would hang on. Bayley went too far. So then she slid forward so she can grab Raquel. And Raquel, she stayed vertical. She was struggling to not fall backwards. So she's standing there trying not to go backwards, waiting, because Io Sky is on the top rope. And the spot is that Io is going to come off with a drop kick, which she does, because Shotzi is also in the ring. Io comes off the top rope with a drop kick to Shotzi that connects. I guess the idea here, this is very awkward, this whole finishing sequence. I guess the idea was that her momentum when she landed the drop kick and then fell, that she would bump into Raquel. And I guess that would knock Raquel forward, and Raquel then would have Bayley dead to rights, and she would pin Bayley and win the match. I think that was the basic idea of what they were doing here. Whatever they envisioned this spot being in their heads when they were in the locker room planning this out, that's not what this is. That's not what this turned out to be. This was a very awkward, clumsy finish. But, the idea is still the same. There was a miscommunication between the members of Damage Control, between Bayley and Io, who were arguing outside the ring when the match was over. So it hopefully brings us one step closer to the final destruction of Damage Control. Damage Control is not even really a group anymore. Damage Control is a tag team now because Dakota Kai tore her ACL. She had surgery. She's gone. You're not going to see Dakota Kai for a long time. Most likely, we're not going to see Dakota Kai back until next year. So she's out of the picture. It's just Bayley and Io. And so the quicker that we can get this over with, the better it'll be for all involved, especially Io, because then I think she can move on as a singles babyface. And I think she'll get over very well as a babyface. So the sooner the better as far as this split goes. We had Cameron Grimes coming off his very quick win, his instantaneous win over Baron Corbin. He wrestled his second match on SmackDown since being called up and drafted. This time it was against Ashanti the Adonis. Yes. You know it is a throwaway taped episode of SmackDown when they trot Death Row out on television. There they were, coming out with their white ski masks here. I would wear a mask over my face too if I were them. So this went a little bit longer than Cameron's first match did, not by much. Flop Dollar, he grabbed Cameron's foot at one point to distract him, and Ashanti took advantage. Grimes came back pretty quickly after that, won with the cave-in. As Grimes went to the stage to celebrate, of course, he had his back turned, and behind him, who comes running out but Baron Corbin? Baron Corbin runs out. He nails Cameron Grimes from behind, so that feud must continue. You know, is it me or is Corbin smaller? It's the first thing I noticed when I saw Corbin come out there. He looked almost skinny. Like he's a lot smaller than I remember him being. He really slimmed down. Like it looks like he lost muscle. Whatever muscle he may have had, looks like he lost muscle. So maybe he has given up. Maybe he truly has given up. I don't know. Bianca Belair was out to the ring for a promo, and this right here. This is the, I mean, it was a show-long thing with the crowd audio, but this right here is where Kevin Dunn jumped the shark with all of this crowd sweetening bullshit. I mean, they were piping in cheers and they were piping in boos. We looked at the fans sitting there motionless. They weren't moving. They weren't chanting. They weren't waving their hands. They weren't screaming. They weren't doing anything. They looked like they were just sitting there trying to enjoy the show. And you would think that it was a fucking Taylor Swift concert. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, you would think that fucking John Cena was out there. And the crowd was making all this, and it was ridiculous. Ridiculous. This right here was the segment where it was the most distracting, where I was only half paying attention to what Bianca was saying. You know, some people who say, what's the big deal? You're making such a big deal about the crowd. No, who cares? This is why. This segment right here was distracting. I mean, it was very distracting. It was comically bad. And, you know, my whole thing is this. If you're going to do that, you're going to play with the audio, you're going to sweeten the crowd noise, you're going to, you know, cheers, boos, whatever. At least know what the fuck you're doing. At least do a good job with it. It's like they didn't know what they were doing. Like they were just pushing buttons at random moments. Like a child. I don't know what the hell they were thinking here, but that wasn't even the best part of this segment. The best part of this segment wasn't even the way they butchered the crowd noise. The best part of this segment was that if you paid attention, if you looked at Bianca's hands as she was holding the microphone, Bianca's hands were still green from the misting that she got from, or the near misting, I guess. That was that segment where Asuka spit mist, but I guess Bianca was supposed to dodge it, but she really didn't. She still had green mist all over her hands from last week's segment, because they taped this immediately after last week's show. So I'm at first I'm looking at this and I'm like, she's out there and she has green lipstick on. I'm like, did she smear? Like, her lipstick looks fine. Like, she didn't smear her lipstick or anything. Why the fuck would her hands be green? And for the first few seconds, I couldn't imagine why. I mean, did she beat the fuck out of Shrek before she walked out there? Did she strangle Kermit the Frog? I don't know. Then I realized, okay, it was because they taped this immediately after the show last week. She didn't even have the chance, or maybe she tried unsuccessfully to wash her hands. I don't know. I'm watching this going, wait a minute, why the fuck are this girl's hands green? That was the best part of this segment. She said tomorrow she would defend the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. She said this is not the Asuka that she faced at WrestleMania because she respected that Asuka. This Asuka is different because she wants something more. And she had to humiliate her by misting her during her title celebration in her hometown. That was when they were in Nashville. Bianca said all she had to do to get a rematch if she wanted one was to ask. But now she's got to fight. No. Cody and Brock have a fight. So you're only allowed to have one fight per show. So the fight tomorrow is Cody and Brock. It is not Bianca and Asuka. Asuka's music hit. Bianca turned towards the stage. Asuka ended up ambushing her from behind. She applied the armbar. Bianca got out of it, went for the KOD. Referees at this point had swarmed the ring. Referees and agents, they were in the ring. So when Bianca went to deliver the KOD, the referees and the agents caught Asuka on the way down. So they saved her. So that was their last little push for the Raw Women's Championship match between these two SmackDown stars tomorrow. Then it was time for LA Knight. Let me talk to you. LA Knight one-on-one with Rick Boogs. Their tag team didn't last very long. LA Knight laid him out after they lost to the Street Profits. So now we had a one-on-one battle between these two. This was hilarious also. The crowd was clearly cheering for LA Knight when he came out. There were people with LA Knight signs. So what did they do? They piped in the boo. The boo birds were out for LA Knight. How many times when LA Knight comes out does he really get booed, right? Not very often. The people have been giving him pretty positive reactions for a while now. Well, they had all their little tools at their disposal. So tonight the fans booed him. Because fuck what you want. I'll tell you, one thing I got to point out. Earlier today, they had a press conference over in Riyadh for Night of Champions. And Triple H was leading the press conference. And I saw this one clip, and I don't know what preceded it. But Triple H is at the podium. He's trying to speak, and he's being drowned out by loud chants of LA Knight. And Triple H has a big smile on his, like he was caught off guard. He wasn't expecting it. Showered in chia. I was going to say cheers and chants, and I ended up saying chia. That was my save. Anyway, showered by chants of LA Knight. And he's not even on the fucking show tomorrow. He doesn't even have a match. Now, they flew him over there. LA Knight is in Jeddah. Hopefully that means he'll be added to the show at the last minute. They'll throw him on there, put him in a match. But Triple H, he can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. He hears it every single week. It's no longer a secret. LA Knight is over. Do something with him. Do something meaningful with him. These people are wanted. They demand it. Street Profits made their entrance before the match started. They joined on commentary. So the action in the match quickly spilled outside. Boogs dropped Knight on the announce desk right in front of Montez and Angelo Dawkins. Solo glitch. I glitched out there for a second, yeah. I might have to reset my firmware. There's Silver Tower. I was wondering if he was with us. Yes, solo.exe has stopped working. You know, that happens on my computer sometimes, where it just sort of glitches out. I get the blue screen. I have to reboot. I think I just need to be rebooted. After today, I definitely feel like I need to be rebooted. So, back inside the ring, Boogs was showing off some of his raw power. I mean, he had LA Knight in a gut wrench position. And he is just back and forth. He's throwing this guy around. Finally, he dumps him. He throws him halfway across the ring. So Boogs lifted Knight again. This time, though, Knight raked the eyes and hit the BFT for the win. After the match, Knight went outside. He grabbed a microphone and he confronted the Street Profits. And he called them $5 asses. Not quite sure what that means, but if it comes out of the mouth of LA Knight, it sounds pretty cool. So he called them $5 asses. He said they want the smoke, but they'll get smoked if they keep spewing garbage at LA Knight. He threw the mic at them. Actually, the microphone hit Wade Barrett, which was kind of funny. But he threw the mic at them and he walked off. So, push this man to the moon. Cameron Grimes says, to the moon. Now, push this guy to the moon. What are you waiting for? He's not getting any younger. AJ Styles, one-on-one with Karrion Kross. One man is challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship tomorrow. The other man is not even on the show. I'll let you figure out who went over in this match. Although Karrion Kross and Scarlett are over there, like LA Knight. They don't have a match, but Karrion Kross is over there in Jeddah. They were posting a bunch of videos on the WWE YouTube channel. And they were at the City Walk, I believe it was. They were visiting the different sites, so they're definitely over there. Don't know if that means they're going to add a match with them or not. Scarlett got involved pretty early in the match. And that prompted Michin to walk down to the ring, and Michin chased her away. Styles landed some chops. Kross cut him off with a back elbow. AJ landed a combination of strikes that staggered Kross. He followed with a Pele kick. AJ hit an Ushigoroshi backbreaker for a near fall. He went for a tornado DDT from the corner. Kross, though, turned it into a Northern Lights suplex. Karrion tried for the crosshammer. Styles ducked and landed some strikes. And AJ hit the phenomenal forearm and got the 1, 2, 3. And AJ Styles picks up the win. A nice momentum-building win here heading into his big championship match with Seth Rollins tomorrow. So they had a good match. I like the match, even though the outcome here was never in doubt. The issue is that Karrion Kross is stuck. He is stuck in a dead-end gimmick. Maybe not even a dead end, just a dead gimmick. The presentation and the entrance and the music, all of that is cool. It's just that whatever they have him doing, when the bell rings, there's just nothing there as far as any sort of crowd investment. And he's been back now long enough. You can't say, oh, you got to give it time. I mean, this guy came back in what, August? August or September of last year. It was right after Triple H took over. That's when he came back. It's been almost a year that he's been back, okay? Tell me in the last nearly one full year, what has Karrion Kross done that you would consider to be truly memorable? Name one thing that he has done. Name one promo segment, one match. I mean, the biggest thing was probably the feud with Drew McIntyre, right? They ended up having that cage match. I believe that was in Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, truly memorable. Name one thing that he's done. I can't. It's a dead gimmick. So I brought up the YouTube channel before, and the fact that they've been posting videos on there of some of the talents that are over there. They've been posting videos, again, out of character with Kross and Scarlett, LA Knight, Rhea Ripley. Who was with them? There was somebody else with them. They were all Omos, right? And really good stuff too. Just really good out of character videos of them just enjoying themselves and sort of enjoying the sights over there in Jeddah. And I didn't realize how big of an anime guy Omos is. Because he was shopping in one of the stores there, and he was all about anime. I didn't realize how hardcore he was into that. But I'm watching Kross and Scarlett, and they have different videos of them. They were doing some of the amusements. They went scuba diving together. And I'm watching these videos, and I was more entertained by those videos of them just being themselves than I've been of anything that they have done in these characters on television since they came back. And I think it just speaks volumes that sometimes the best thing to do is just to let somebody be themselves. Even if that means they become baby faces. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I think that they're in dire need of a change because what they're doing right now is not working. It's not working. They should be higher up on the food chain there than they are, and they're not. And you have to start asking questions about why that is. Is it a matter of the talent themselves? Yes, I think the talent also bears responsibility for that. You can't just say, well, Karrion Kross isn't over at the level they probably wanted him to be. That's all Triple H's fault. Or blame Vince McMahon, or blame the fans, right? No, I think there's blame to go around here. But it was very striking watching them in those videos. Because Scarlett, she's got her character down, and the tarot card, and again, spooky stuff. But I'm just watching them be themselves, like normal human beings. And it was very endearing. And I think they need to find a way to take that and translate that over to television. I think they would have a better chance of getting over. I really do. And I hope that's something that they consider, because I just don't think what they're doing now is working. Certainly not working the way that it was for a while there in NXT when he was doing the same character there. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn hosted the KO show to close out tonight's episode. They were set to have Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, their opponents at Night of Champions, as their guests. Owens introduced Roman Reigns. Instead, he got Paul Heyman, who said that nobody tells Roman Reigns what to do. He does what he wants. Heyman, though, was suddenly interrupted by the Usos music. Jimmy and Jay came down to the ring. Heyman did not look happy about this interruption. And they were pissed at Sami and KO. Owens said that he knew Roman wasn't going to come out, but it's fine because Jimmy and Jay were actually the ones that they wanted to talk to anyway. He said, Sami Zayn, this guy right here, he's the one person who's been right all along about everything that he said about the Bloodline, everything that he has said about Roman Reigns. He says that he has been right every step of the way. Owens said that Roman can call himself the head of the table all he wants, but Jimmy and Jay are the heart. Roman, though, treats them like the appendix. Says they're disposable. They're not needed. He says he uses you. You guys don't do anything unless Roman tells you to. What goes through your head? What goes through your head, he wanted to know. Knowing that you went from being the greatest tag team in the history of WWE to being nothing more than Roman Reigns' errand boys. And Jimmy said that when it comes to the Usos, when it comes to the day ones, he is the tribal chief. Uh-oh. He done gone fucked up now. That's all Roman needed to hear. We hear Roman Reigns' music. And of course, I went to go get a snack. I went to go take a leak. I made a couple of phone calls. I did my amended tax return. By the time I came back, Roman was just getting into the ring. Roman gets into the ring, and he got up first in Jay's face. He knocked the microphone out of Jey Uso's hand. He did the same to Jimmy. Stared him down, slapped the microphone right out of his hand. Sami told Roman, hey, Roman, you know it's over, right? I mean, you know this is the end. You know the bloodline is collapsing and it's all your fault. And Roman angrily swiped the microphone out of Sami's hand, so Kevin Owens went and gave Roman Reigns a stunner. And a fight broke out with Sami, KO, and the Usos. And this all ended with Solo Sikoa laying out each of the tag team champions with Samoan spikes. Roman Reigns shouted for Solo to pick him up. He picked up Sami, and Roman delivered a huge spear to Sami Zayn. The Usos grabbed all of the tag team belts, and Jay handed 2 of them over to Solo. When Roman put his hand out to take the belts from Jimmy, Jimmy hesitated, and he wouldn't give him the belts right away. Jay then finally came over. He took the belts away from his brother. He handed them over to Roman Reigns instead, and the bloodline stood tall with all the gold. We got to see Roman 4 belts, a little vision into the future here potentially. We had Roman holding up all the gold, all the other members of the bloodline holding up their fingers, except for Jimmy. Jimmy fell back into the corner and he just watched, and he had a disgusted look on his face. So this was a good closing angle, more Bloodline drama. It was not a bad show. There was some good wrestling on the show tonight, and the Bloodline segments I thought were all enjoyable. But it was a very missable, relatively inconsequential, I mean, outside the Bloodline stuff, an inconsequential throwaway, mailed-in show that after tomorrow won't even matter. That was butchered. Was butchered by you-know-who in the truck. With all of this audio editing and just nonsense. It was on full display tonight. It was WWE at its worst when it comes to crowd manipulation. Terrible. Terrible. Roman is supposedly defending his championships at Money in the Bank. That was the rumor going around. And the belief is that he'll be defending his titles both in Money in the Bank and at SummerSlam. I mean, SummerSlam is a given, I would think. So it looks like we're going to have to start considering Jimmy Uso as a potential challenger. You know, we've been talking about people like AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley as possible opponents for Roman Reigns now that they're all on the same show. But it seems like Jimmy Uso might be might be getting groomed for that spot. Again, we've seen Roman and Jay wrestle before. We've never seen Roman and Jimmy go one-on-one. And it looks like that they're potentially building to that. Or they could go with the more obvious match for Money in the Bank, which is don't put the titles on the line, and instead you do Roman and Solo against the Usos. And just let the Money in the Bank matches be the attraction, you know, the main attraction on that show. You know, by that point, though, if Roman does not defend the titles of Money in the Bank, he defended them at WrestleMania. If he does not defend at Money in the Bank, that would be from WrestleMania to SummerSlam without the Universal or WWE Championship being defended. That is beyond ridiculous. I mean, I cannot even articulate to you in adequate terms how fucking ridiculous that would be. And it just reinforces the point that I made about the outcome of the main event of WrestleMania and how stupid it was. If that's the plan. Even if the plan is for him to defend it Money in the Bank, it is still stupid, the idea that you would go from WrestleMania at the beginning of April to the beginning of July with someone who has unified the two top titles in the company and not have him defend those titles at least once. Unbelievable. Wasn't it Backlash? Wrestling for the tag team titles tomorrow in Night of Champions. All to get to this mythical fake number of 1,000, like it's some kind of big achievement, 1,000 days as the champion. Okay. Was it creatively really worth it just to get him to 1,000 days? It's the same thing people used to complain about when Brock Lesnar was the champion. But Brock Lesnar at that time also didn't unify the fucking belts. You already had another established championship on the other show that you at least had that. Hence, I guess, why they've introduced this new World Heavyweight title, but we don't have a champion yet. They're only first crowning a new champion tomorrow. But just the idea that you unified these belts, which, by the way, was never the original plan. The only reason they unified those belts, it was a reactionary move to Roman getting COVID and them having to cancel the match with him and Brock last year at day one. The plan was never, there's no chance in hell the plan was ever to have Roman unify those belts at WrestleMania last year. That's just the way it all worked out. They booked themselves into a corner on that front. That's why they had to make it a totally new championship. That's why they have this secondary belt now on Monday nights. But just think about that. You could go from the beginning of April to potentially the beginning of August and have neither of those belts put on the line. How does that make sense creatively? How? How is that fun? How is that exciting? How is that entertaining? Next week, as I said, Roman is going to be celebrating 1,000 days as the champion. And they're going to be kicking off Money in the Bank qualifying matches. One for the men, one for the women. On the men's side, it's going to be Montez Ford one-on-one against LA Knight. I know who I'm pulling for in that match. It's too bad, too, because... Thank you. It's too bad, too, because I figured Montez would at least get into the Money in the Bank match. I'm going to be very upset now if he does, because that means LA Knight is not. And on the women's side, it's going to be Zelina Vega taking on Lacey Evans. That's right. So let's go, Zelina. Those two matches are on SmackDown next week. Now, well, actually, before I even get into Night of Champions, let's just take a look at the Twitter poll real quick. Ooh, almost an even split. We're so close. Ooh, that's close. 50.9% thumbs up, 49.1% thumbs in the middle. That is almost a dead even heat between the positive and negative scores here in the SmackDown poll. So let's see if we can shift that up a little bit. At Solomonster on Twitter, go ahead and vote. That is awfully close. Winston Smith. Winston says the sound off is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Yes, it is. You know what the difference is between all those old television sitcoms that had live audiences, but also the ones that had the laugh tracks? Is that the people who produced those shows, they knew what the fuck they were doing. That's the difference between them and the WWE production team. Anyway, Night of Champions is tomorrow. Let me run through this card here and the predictions that I gave on Sunday. We have Trish Stratus, Trish Stratus, one-on-one with Becky Lynch. The battle between two legends is what they said on SmackDown tonight. Trish Stratus, I have her going over because I just don't see this being a one and done. So if they're going to continue this and keep this going, Trish should win the first match. Gunther defends the Intercontinental title against Mustafa Ali. Obviously, Gunther retains. Rhea Ripley defends the Raw Women's Championship. Wait a minute. She has the SmackDown belt. I'm so fucking confused. She's got the blue belt. Okay. Rhea Ripley defends the blue belt against Natalya. I I mean, do I even need to tell you who's going over in this match? Do I even need to say anything? Bianca Belair defends the red belt against Asuka. And Bianca has over 400 days now as the Raw Women's Champion. She already won at WrestleMania. I don't see them taking the title off of her, for a second match with Asuka. I think that her streak continues. We have Cody Rhodes, who has officially, in storyline, been diagnosed with a broken arm, is being cleared to compete. So that's a great job there by WWE Medical. They have cleared Cody Rhodes. They could have at least, shot some kind of social media angle. Unless they said something at the press conference today, but I read the transcript. I didn't see anything. Where they forced Cody to sign some sort of, written contract that completely relieves WWE of any sort of liability in the event that his injury is made worse. To my knowledge, they haven't said anything like that. So they're letting him wrestle with a broken arm against Brock Lesnar. And what has been described here as a fight. They've described this as a fight, not a street fight, not a no-holds-barred match, just a fight. I'm predicting a Brock win. This could go either way. They could be giving Cody the heroic comeback treatment where, despite the broken arm, just like the torn pec last year against Seth, he triumphs over Evil. Very possible that he will win here in this match. But I think that if you want to keep Brock viable to challenge for the World Heavyweight title, I think he should win. I think he probably should walk away with the win here. You've built in this out for Cody where if he loses, you can just blame it on the fact that he wrestled with a broken arm. And then it leads to a rematch between the two of them. So I think Brock is going to go over here. I think this is going to go to a third match. But if Cody wins, that opens the door for Cody to qualify for Money in the Bank. If he's done with Brock, he could qualify for Money in the Bank. And that's what I'm looking at. As much as I would love to see LA Knight with that briefcase, the only way to get to Cody and Roman at SummerSlam and not hold it off until WrestleMania next year is for him to win the briefcase. That's the path I would like to see him take. If not Cody, though, I would definitely get that briefcase in the hands of LA Knight. To decide a brand new World Heavyweight Champion, we have AJ Styles going one-on-one with Seth Rollins. I know I'm going against the betting odds here. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to stick with my original pick. I'm going to go with AJ with the idea that there's a method to the madness in having Triple H include SmackDown talent in this tournament. I would like to think that in the end, there's going to be a good storyline reason for it. And that's because AJ's a SmackDown guy, and AJ's going to win the world title. And he's going to go to Raw. He's going to take the OC with him. Cody is going to get traded to SmackDown. And he doesn't even need Money in the Bank. And you do Cody and Roman at Cody and Roman at SummerSlam. Just because I don't, the idea of dragging this out another year is just not something that I am particularly interested in. Which is why you keep hearing me mention SummerSlam. SummerSlam is the off-ramp. I'd like to see them take the off-ramp on this journey and find a new destination heading into WrestleMania next year. So I think AJ Styles is going to win the world title. And then undisputed tag team titles are being defended. It's going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn putting the belts on the line against Roman and Solo. KO and Sami, they have multiple challengers lined up already for those tag team titles on the heel side. I don't see any reason to put the belts on Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa right now. I think the Usos will be there despite what they told us that they won't be. I think they will. I think they'll factor into the finish, and they're going to end up maybe accidentally on purpose, let's say, in terms of Jimmy Uso. Maybe accidentally on purpose, end up costing Roman the tag team titles. And KO and Sami will prevail in the end. Sami got a hell of a reaction from the crowd at the press conference today. He hasn't been to Saudi Arabia since 2014. Last time he worked a match there was against Damian Sandow. Long before WWE struck their big you know, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar, whatever it is, arrangement with the Saudi government. Sami, it's been a while for him. So to see him go over there and get the kind of love and the reaction that he got had to be a good feeling for him. So I'm predicting no title changes on the show, basically. Except there will be a new world champion crowned, obviously, but no title changes. That's my prediction. So I am going to be live with you tomorrow as soon as the show is over. So I'm thinking starts at 1. I think they have a pre-show at noon Eastern. So 1 o'clock Eastern start. You figure it'll go to about 4. So probably between 4 and 4:30 is when you can expect me to be live on YouTube. And hopefully you guys will join me there. Now, I mentioned before that that is not the only pay-per-view this weekend. We have Double or Nothing on Sunday night from Las Vegas. And here is the lineup for Double or Nothing. And I will also be covering this show when it's over, whatever time that may be. MJF puts the AEW World Championship on the line in a 4-way against the other pillars of the company. Darby Allin, who is going to be climbing Mount Everest in the near future. He's serious about it, too. He's going to be signing a will, or writing a will, next month, he said, so that in case anything happens to him, he's got at least one dog. I think he has multiple dogs. But he wants to make sure that somebody he knows will get custody of his dog, and you know who gets his house. He's going to work all this out. Here's my whole thing. Darby Allin should have had a will years ago. Why is he first writing a will now? Do you see what this man does? Do you see the way he wrestles and the way he works on television? He should have had a will the moment he got into the wrestling business. I think this is a good idea. So yeah, he's not walking out with the World Championship, but it's going to be him, Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara challenging MJF. We have Anarchy in the arena with the Elite against the Blackpool Combat Club, which I am definitely looking forward to that match. I loved Anarchy in the arena last year, so I have high hopes for it this time. Unsanctioned match. Adam Cole one-on-one with Chris Jericho, and Sabu is going to be the special enforcer. Sabu. Why? Fuck if I know. Women's Championship on the line. Jamie Hayter defends against Toni Storm. We have FTR defending the tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. TNT title on the line. Wardlow defends against Christian Cage in a ladder match. TBS title on the line. Jade Cargill defends against Taya Valkyrie. And Orange Cassidy puts his international championship on the line in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. And there you go. That is the full card as of this moment. Oh, actually, that's not the full card. There's also a 6-man tag, I think. It's Matt and Jeff Hardy and Hook taking on Ethan Page. Is it Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, and Big Bill? That's the one match I left off my list. I think that's the lineup for that match. So there you go. Double or Nothing is coming up on Sunday night, and we'll see if they make any further announcements about Collision and the return of CM Punk. That is the only time I want to mention the name CM Punk here on this stream. Let's get to your Super Chat. It's going to be a Punk-free zone here. I've been talking about him way too much. Yeah, you got to be careful, you know, with Mount Everest, man. 300 plus people have died trying to climb that mountain. You get avalanches. I mean, it's dangerous stuff. And he sounds pretty serious about it, so I hope he knows what he's doing. I hope so. All right, let's take a look at your Super Chats, including there's one Super Chat in here from Fahad that I'm going to get to in a second. Let's start out here with Groovy Goose with the $4.99. Yeah, SB, this is the second match between Jade and Taya. Taya was not allowed to use her finishing move in their first match, and now she will. So that's why we're getting it again. You are not imagining things. Groovy Goose says, prior to the release of his sex tape and racist comments, were there any rumors regarding Hulk Hogan getting in the ring when he came back to WWE? And if so, with who? there's always been talk of hey, Silver Tower dropping a pissed off Bane super chat. Hey, Silver Tower, thank you. I'll get to your message in a second here. There's always been talk of Hogan potentially wrestling another match, which is ridiculous. The guy has had 10 back surgeries. He's almost 70 years old. I have no interest in seeing Hulk Hogan anywhere near a wrestling ring. It's ridiculous. Was there talk about it, though? There was always talk amongst fans. I don't think there was any serious talk in WWE, though, if that's what you mean. Were there internal discussions about a potential Hulk Hogan retirement match? To my knowledge, no. Nothing was ever rumored. Nothing was ever outright said. So it was, if anything, just in the eyes of some of the fans. And I am not one of those people who has any interest in seeing Hulk Hogan back. Dr. Scorpio, we need piped-in fake crowd noise for Be the Booker. You got plenty of piped-in crowd noise on this stream tonight. Now you know how it's annoying. Huh? It's annoying, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it is. The real CSO2 with the $9.99. I know this has nothing to do with SmackDown, but if the whole reason Tony Khan is doing a brand split is to keep Punk and Elite separated, or the two camps separated, what are they going to do with the pay-per-views? Nothing. Nothing. They're going to have to be together on the pay-per-views. You have at least 5 pay-per-views a year. You got Wembley Stadium coming up. They're going to be... You're not going to house them in separate buildings. They're going to have to control themselves and be fucking adults, and they're going to have to coexist in the same locker room. That's the answer. There's no way to separate them. Jeremy Watley. 3-year anniversary for Hana Kimura this week. What a tragedy. It exemplifies the worst of human nature. Kindness and compassion are free of cost. That's a very good message. I agree with that sentiment. I said the other night, I said, it doesn't cost you a thing to be nice to somebody. Lovelie says, the bloodline is fine. Thank you, Lovelie. The Fluff Salisbury with the $5 super chat says, I hope you feel better, Solomonster. I hope so too. I'm choking on my tonsils right now. So if I'm stumbling around or if I sound a little weird, now you know why. I'm trying not to start choking and coughing and hacking here. He says, good thing that there isn't 3 pay-per-views and Monday Night Raw over the next 3 days, so you'll have plenty of time to rest. Oh yeah, it's a good thing that we don't have that. It's a really good thing I get to spend my Memorial Day weekend sick. I was hoping that I'd be able to get through the holiday weekend, feel good. I guess that's asking too much. Yeah, it's also 3 years? Wow. 3 years since the world lost Shad Gaspard. Talk about a real hero. That's a real hero right there. Joshua Stitch with a $20 super chat. Hey Bash, the Saudi show is 1 o'clock Eastern. Joshua says, Solomonster, I saw you tweet a photo when you were visiting Colombia. Just wondering if you were doing an overbooked one-off involving a pizza cutter. If that was the case, good for you for doing the job on your way out. Yeah, it was 5 years since I wrecked my knee, and I told that whole story on the podcast. So I posted a photo, although it was a censored photo on Twitter, because Twitter doesn't like it when you post the uncensored version, as I found out 5 years ago when I tried to post the uncensored version. So, although I should. I have the uncensored version. I could throw it up on screen. I don't want to gore people out if they don't want to see it though. Justin Feltz with the $5 super chat. Listener since 2016. Wanted to say I appreciate your hard work. Lots of good wrestling coming up. I will be at Forbidden Door. By the way, Hog BTF was great. Beware the Fury. It's like BTF. Yes, Beware the Fury was great. Some great wrestling on that show. I was very proud to be part of that one. And enjoy Forbidden Door as well. That's awesome. You know, Toronto's a hot wrestling city, man. Well, or at least I thought Toronto was a hot wrestling city. I see. Hey, Bobby's World, thank you. Thank you, Bobby. You got yourself a tsunami splash there. I was gonna say though, the Collision show the night before Forbidden Door, I mean, they've sold 1,700 tickets. That's awful. That's absolutely awful. So once they announce CM Punk, I'm very curious to see if the numbers for that show go up, because that's shocking. That is shocking. I mean, they're packing people in the building the next night for Forbidden Door, but to do that low a number the night before is horrendous. So let's see what happens in the weeks to come. But for Toronto, I just think that's really, really surprising. Please do it. You really want to see this? You really want to see one of my worst and most painful moments? Is that what you want to see? I'll give you a little warning here. I'll throw it up real quick. So for those who don't know, I did a very stupid thing 5 years ago, and long story short, I slammed my leg into a glass. It was really a window, but kind of like a glass sliding door at the house that we were renting. It was a bunch of us for a friend's party. But anyway, and the knee went right through the glass, shattered a lot of the glass, and I didn't even realize how bad it was at first until I looked down and saw all the blood. And it was pretty bad. It was pretty scary stuff. But I was wearing a bathing suit and nothing else when all of this happened. And so when they took me to the but I won't do it. I'm just giving the backstory. But when they took me to the hospital, it's like all I'm wearing is this bathing suit and just dried blood all over my legs and all over the bathing suit. It was like a horror show. It really was. It looked like something out of a GCW main event with Nick Gage. So I realized the other day that it was 5 years. I said, wow, has it really been 5 years? And I guess it has been. So anyway, Jeremy says, on a lighter note, Ring of Honor and NXT have been lit lately. Well, I wouldn't know from Ring of Honor. They had 19 matches the other day, and that ain't happening. So 19 matches on one show. Yeah, 3-hour Ring of Honor the other day. You would say, well, was it a pay-per-view? 3 hours of Ring of Honor? No, it was basically 3 hours of dark is what it was. 19 I mean, God bless the people who watch religiously every week and they enjoyed it. More power to you. Ain't no way I was sitting through that. Devin from NJ2000 says, will Roman take the sound off belt for 1,000 days? He can't have the sound off belt. I got the sound off belt under lock and key. So he ain't getting his hands on my sound off belt. Rodimus Pride. Do you have any wrestler theme songs on your phone? If so, who and how many? I am sure that Brett is one of them. Yeah, I mean, the Brett theme is awesome. The Brett theme is awesome, so of course I have that. I have a bunch of wrestler themes. You know, Roman's theme is pretty badass. That's on there. I think I have AJ stuff. I'm trying to think in terms of like current talent, but you know, classic talent. Demolition, Austin. I have one of the Rock. Hollywood Rock. I have Hollywood Rock on there. Undertaker. Yeah. You know what? Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett's My World theme is pretty badass. I have that one too. So I got a whole bunch of them. Sheamus. Fahad with the $226 super chat that just blew me away earlier. Oh my goodness. And again, he said that he is on his way to Jeddah to watch Night of Champions. So I don't know where you're sitting. Hopefully you got good seats, but I hope you have fun. Fahad, thank you. Thank you very much. Rodimus Prime with this wrestling, all this wrestling going on, he says this weekend. It's made for an eventful Memorial Day weekend. He says, let's go. Yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, man, this is like a fucking dream weekend for you. You get a little bit of everything. Yeah, I got the Cody Rhodes theme. I have the new Bray Wyatt theme. Spotify used to have the Fiend theme, and then they took it off, and I don't know that they ever put it back. So I used to have that one. I don't have that one anymore, the Code Orange one. But the new theme, before he disappeared, I have that one too. Shatter. I think it's called Shatter. Down Bad. Had a couple of friends who went to the show who said LA Knight got one of the biggest pops of the night. Of course he did. He's been getting big pops every single week. I believe that. There's no way that WWE is not paying attention to these reactions. It's just a matter of, can they come up with something meaningful for him to do? That's the question. But he's getting reactions everywhere he goes. He's getting reactions in Saudi, again, for a guy who's not even booked on the show. What does that tell you? J-Glow. Lion Nick Khan said in an interview they are open to adding a third hour to SmackDown and moving Raw from Monday nights. Would this be a good or a bad thing? How likely do you think that would be to happen? I don't think either is very likely, but they're going to go where the money is. If somebody threw a bunch of money at them, they're going to go where the money is. And if they said, hey, we'll give you X number of dollars to move Raw to, let's say, Tuesdays, what is USA? Let's say they stay with USA Network. What is USA Network going to say? USA Network has no shows. They have nothing. If they lose WWE, they have nothing. So, yeah, they're going to move the show to whatever night WWE might want the show to be moved to. Or maybe it's the network's idea. I don't know why you move Raw. Moving Raw to me is stupid, because Raw is an institution on Monday nights. It's a wrestling institution. It has been on the same night consistently for over 30 years. Why would you move it from Monday night? Monday night traditionally is a pretty good television night. Now you're up against Monday Night Football, so that would be the only thing to maybe look at and go, well, they can get away from Monday Night Football. But they've been up against Monday Night Football for over 30 years. So I think that would be incredibly dumb. I don't want that to happen. That would be stupid. Adding a third hour of SmackDown is even dumber. I don't know which one I hate more, the idea of moving Raw to a different night or adding a third hour to SmackDown. I think adding a third hour to SmackDown would be even worse. So I hope neither of those things happen. That would be awful. 3 hours of SmackDown would be fucking terrible. Groovy Goose got a major test on Monday. Please wish me luck. Good luck to Groovy Goose. Everybody in the chat is pulling for you. Yeah, USA. I mean, USA used to have all these shows that were... I didn't watch all of them. I watched maybe one every, here and there, but these shows that were critically acclaimed and did relatively well in the ratings. I mean, I go all the way back to the days of fucking, Duckman and Silk Stockings in the early 90s on USA. But, they had, whether it was La Femme Nikita, or it was Suits, or it was Monk, or was it White Collar was another one, Burn Notice. I know I'm forgetting a few, but, they've had some pretty good shows over the years. It's like USA has completely fallen off the map. And you take Raw and NXT away, they have nothing. And wherever they place on the charts, I mean, they're going to sink like a stone. So they're not really in a position to do anything that WWE doesn't want to do, because if USA doesn't take WWE, believe me, there'll be another network that does. They don't have much to hang their hat on beyond the WWE. Groovy Goose also says, I hope Io wins one of the main women's championships soon. I don't think it'll happen soon, but I think at some point she will. Ah, yes, Pacific Blue. I forgot about that one. They have 35 different versions of Law and Order, and I bet you I've seen every single one of them. Law and Order is great. You know, I'm actually only now going through the original Law and Order. I've seen all of SVU. I watched all, I think it was 10 seasons of Criminal Intent. They even had a show many years ago. It only lasted one season called Trial by Jury, which had Jerry Orbach for the first 2 episodes, and then he passed away from prostate cancer. But the original one, I never watched the original one. So last year I finally started watching from season 1, and right now I am in the middle of season 15. So I still have a lot of catching up to do, but I've already watched the first 14 and a half seasons of the original Law and Order. I still maintain that Ben Stone was still the best ADA. If you're a Law and Order fan, you remember the early seasons with Ben Stone. Not that I hate Jack McCoy. Jack McCoy is great, but Ben Stone, those first few seasons, Ben Stone was great. Alex Silva says, if Cody gets squashed by Brock, do you think he takes time off to sell the broken arm because he can't show up Monday and be healed all of a sudden? I mean, he can't, but it's WWE, so maybe he'll take 3 or 4 weeks off and then he'll be back. I mean, he's not going to be gone for very long. He's one of their top stars. They can't, you know, unless he's hurt legitimately, they can't afford to just have him off television for 6 weeks or 8 weeks selling an injury. So they can't lose him for very long. They're going to have to have some sort of quick turnaround either way. Tokes Kazim with the $4.99. Did Bobby shit on Triple H's cereal? I am getting really worried about the Almighty. I would not worry about Bobby Lashley. He's still one of their biggest stars. He's not going anywhere. Deputy Dog says Dick Wolf is rich off of these shows. First of all, can we acknowledge the greatness of the name Dick Wolf? What a great fucking name. Dick Wolf. The only name that maybe comes close is Ricky Steamboat's real name. Because Ricky Steamboat's real name is Richard Blood. So technically Ricky Steamboat is Dick Blood, which is kind of horrifying when you think about it. But Dick Wolf, I mean, what a fucking name. And think about this, every time you hear the dun-dun, you know, the Law and Order sound, he gets paid for that. This guy is rolling in the dough. You know the DuckTales scene with, I don't know if it's Scrooge McDuck or who it is, doing the dive into all the money, all the coins, all the loot. That's Dick Wolf every night. That's how he goes to bed. He does the nosedive into bed, into all of his money, and he sleeps like a baby. Dom Joseph, was the Montreal Screwjob a work? Why or why not? Montreal Screwjob was not a work. Brandon Vasquez with a $10 super chat. Should Edge be a sleeper to win Money in the Bank, then cash in to win the world title? One belt he never lost. There's a story there. What else is there for him to do before he retires? A last run makes sense. So you want to put the World Heavyweight Championship, which has been created because the other championships are being held hostage by somebody who rarely appears on television and defends them. And you're suggesting that they should put the World Heavyweight title on Edge, who is a part-timer who does not appear full-time on television. There is a story. It is a title that he never technically lost. I agree with you. There is a story. There's story potential there. That is not the way that I would go. I would not waste a Money in the Bank briefcase on somebody who does not need it. I would not waste the Money in the Bank briefcase on somebody who is not a full-time performer. So I do not think that Edge should win Money in the Bank. You can tell the story of him going after the World Heavyweight title without the Money in the Bank briefcase. You can simply feud him with, let's assume, Seth Rollins, or whoever ends up winning the World Heavyweight Championship from Seth Rollins, if Rollins wins it tomorrow. Edge does not need to win Money in the Bank. Brandon Rice, Hagerstown, Maryland creates charisma. LA Knight is the prime example. I don't know if it's Hagerstown or what, but the guy's got charisma for days. And they need to start doing something with him. Brandon Vasquez, any chance Cody crashes Roman's celebration next week if he is traded? If AJ wins and the OC goes to Raw, then leaving the door open for Cody to go to SmackDown. It's very possible. Then he would have to win, though. He would have to win against Brock tomorrow. But yeah, is it possible? It's certainly a possibility. It's something that I would personally like to see. I don't know about him crashing the 1,000-day celebration, though, because I wouldn't even be thinking about that match until SummerSlam at the earliest. And it's a little too early, I think, to be, jumping into that right away. And as somebody mentioned before, if Cody has a storyline broken arm, then he would have to probably disappear for a few weeks before, he reappears, which is going to be tough, but maybe they take 2 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. He disappears and then he comes back. His arm is less broken than at that point. BlissFan says that Edge is on SmackDown. Indeed he is. That's a good point. Edge is on SmackDown. So there goes your theory about Edge competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. There it goes. They were teasing the story when he was in the qualifying match, but he lost the qualifying match. So you'd have to come up with a whole other story just to get him back on Raw. The real CSO2. Hey, Solo, with rumors of talent cuts happening shortly, do you see people like Death Row getting cut? Their run on the main roster has been a bust. I think that if there are, in fact, cuts, and that's just a rumor right now, if there are cuts, I think they would have to be very, very worried. Love Lie with the $9.99. Can you explain what is missing from Becky and Trish? I was too young to watch Trish back then, but I've heard her heel work was good. But both are missing something. This feud should work, but it just does not. Trish was a pretty good heel there in the mid-2000s. She turned on Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 20, and she went with Christian. I think that's what kicked off the heel turn for her. And she was very good, but she's been out of the business for many years, so she's not in it full time. And so, she's a little older now. You're not always going to come back and be exactly the same performer. This is also a brand new audience who doesn't know who she is. And back then, the people knew who Trish was, and she was an active, full-time performer. So there are certain things that have changed. There's definitely something missing. Trish's promos have felt forced. I don't think that they, and I say they, I mean just this feud in general. I don't really feel like it's been getting the crowd reactions that they would have hoped for, that you would expect them to. But I also think that they will probably go out there tomorrow, and they're going to have a very good match. Trish didn't look great in that tag match when they lost the tag team titles, and then Trish turned on her. But I think they're going to have a very good match. I remember when Trish came back about 6 or 7 years ago, and she had that SummerSlam match with Charlotte. They had a very good match. But again, that was 6 or 7 years ago. We'll see. We'll see. But it just feels like it's been missing something. And I don't know if it's just the fact that these audiences are just not... They're just not as familiar with Trish, and so they hear she's in the Hall of Fame, and she's a multi-time women's champion, and maybe they just don't see that as being that big of a deal. We don't get to see Trish wrestle very often. Maybe if she wrestled more often and people got more exposed to her work. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on any one specific thing that it is. I watch these segments every week on television, and it's just missing something. Rob G, Y2J's promo after Vengeance 01 is so underrated. Is that when he beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night? Chris AXC, does the Bloodline ultimately end with Solo being the one to put Roman down? Also, any thoughts on the rumored Wyatt return to feud with Cody into SummerSlam? I don't think... see, I've said about Solo that when he loses Solo, Roman is done. That's when he loses the championships. Is he the one to put Roman down? Meaning, is he the one to take the titles from Roman, if that's what you mean? No, I don't think so. Definitely not. Definitely not. He will play an integral role in the story, though, and I think when Roman loses his loyalty, it's going to be a big, big plot twist in this Bloodline story. He should not be the one to put down Roman Reigns. As far as rumors of a Wyatt return to feud with Cody going into SummerSlam, I mean, I call bullshit on that. I still don't think they have any clue when Bray's going to come back. Bray's going to come back when Bray's ready to come back. There's been so many conflicting reports and rumors about him that he's not on the internal roster, and so that means he's quietly gone from the company. That's bullshit. There's actually multiple people who are currently not listed on the internal roster, supposedly, including people like Tommaso Ciampa and Bobby Roode. That does not mean they're gone from the company. Bray Wyatt is still being paid by WWE. He's still on the WWE roster. Whatever is wrong with him, he's not ready to come back. Simple as that. Beyond that, nobody knows anything. So when you go on these websites and you see these reports about Bray or Alexa and rumors about them, nobody knows what they're talking about. It all hinges on when Bray is able to come back. Because most likely, whatever Alexa Bliss is going to be doing is going to be tied into Bray Wyatt in some way. Beyond that, nobody knows anything. All just rumor and bullshit. That's all it is. Silver Tower dropped an $18 super chat, so Silver Tower is continuing his very big week. Thank you, sir. EJ Slamp, my brother and I just went on a road trip to Minnesota and North Dakota, and I listened to every one of your Dark Side of the Ring reviews in the car. Well, you're in luck because Dark Side of the Ring is back this Tuesday, which means the Dark Side of the Ring reviews are coming back to the podcast starting not this weekend, but next weekend. So you will have even more Dark Side of the Ring reviews coming your way soon. First episode is on Tuesday. It covers Chris Candido and Tammy Sytch. Silver Tower with another $4. Roman is going to break Bruno's record of 1,805 days. For some reason, my message did not show up in my first super chat. Well, it's here in your second one. And that better be a smiling emoji I see in your super chat. We've got Bobby's World with the $28 Tsunami Splash. Get better soon, Solo. I think I can speak for most of the chat when I say we respect you for toughing it out through a very busy weekend. I'm going to try. Hopefully I don't wake up in a cold sweat in the morning. It's going to be a long day tomorrow, so throw some positive vibes my way. We'll get through it. Keyshawn Johnson with the $9.99. Think about it. Paul Heyman has the most days with the Universal Championship. That belt belongs to Heyman. Also, when the next Sound Of Gamer. Also, who is the greatest right place, wrong time star? Right place, wrong time? I'm not sure what you mean. The next Sound Off Gamer will be once I'm feeling better. So probably not. I probably won't record it until Monday or Tuesday. EJ Slemp, sometimes I have dumb questions and may not agree with you and others here, but I always try to be respectful and enjoy every stream. Feel better so. Well, that's why we like having you here, EJ. So thank you very much. Max, I don't believe you can transfer an existing membership. Once it's gifted to you, it is yours for at least for 30 days. So I don't think YouTube allows that. Keyshawn Johnson, how would you bring Jacob Fatu into WWE? I think Jacob Fatu would have been perfect for the role of Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline. And I still think there's a way to bring him into the Bloodline, because it doesn't seem like the Bloodline is... I mean, they're teasing that the Bloodline is disintegrating. I'm not so convinced that the Bloodline is going to be totally done with. if the Bloodline is still a thing, I think you can actually reignite the Bloodline with Jacob Fatu. In fact, I think you could probably reignite the Bloodline with Jacob Fatu in place of Roman Reigns. If Roman loses the loyalty of the other members and he gets booted, and Roman, let's say, is going to take an extended break, I think you could probably keep some form of a Bloodline faction going with Jacob Fatu in that role. But it would be hard for me to envision bringing him in when you have this Bloodline story with all these Samoan stars and not have him involved in that in some way. It would feel a little weird. So it would probably, involve them in some way. But, Jacob Fatu would be an incredible talent in WWE. Manuel. Hold on a second. Where is he? There he is. Manuel says, what are your thoughts on the rumor that the world title may be opening the show? Do you think Triple H views the belt as a consolation prize or no? Oh, he probably doesn't, but that's what it is for the time being. I mean, they may be able to build it into something over time, but it's the consolation belt. That's what it is. I've seen the reports of it possibly opening the show. I mean, there is something to be said for if you're not going on last, you're going on first. But I think it's the wrong move, because if you're trying to establish this new championship as something that isn't secondary, even AJ Styles did an interview with the New York Post and flat out said the title he's fighting for is a secondary title. This is from one of the men challenging for the championship. If you want to try to fight back against the perception of it being second place, Roman is not even defending his titles on this show. How are you going to have a pay-per-view without Roman Reigns defending either of his titles and have this match to crown a new world champion and not headline with it? Not headline with what you know is going to be just an excellent match. But everything is so built around this Bloodline storyline that they probably would want a headline with Roman Reigns. It's the very day that Roman hits 1,000 days. He's the biggest star in the company. So very possible that Roman's match will headline. I think it's the wrong move. I think the World Heavyweight title, this may be the only time it has a chance to headline. I think you should headline with the World Heavyweight Championship. Silver Tower just gifted 20 channel memberships. That brings his total for this week to at least 90, I believe. 90 or 92. Just incredible. Incredible. Meaty Sentai VA. If I can watch Sunny Side Up, I can look at your injury photo. No, I am not proud of that. I can't believe you just admitted that. You just admitted that live here on YouTube. Justin Feltz, I went to the Toronto debut show for AEW as well. Super hot crowd that night, hoping for Ospreay Omega 2. I hope you feel better. Thank you. Arabian Night 2000, could you see Pac challenging MJF in the UK if built up? No, I don't think he would challenge MJF, but I definitely think they want to get Pac on that Wembley show for sure. Maybe Pac and Ospreay. Maybe we get Pac and Ospreay one-on-one on that show. Nasir Alexander with a $9.99. Could we all just admit that Austin Theory is boring? Him beating John Cena did nothing for him. 2 years on the main roster, no memorable matches or storylines. Everything Cena said about him is right. Unfortunately, everything that Cena said about him in that promo has been pretty bang on. And the win over Cena did absolutely nothing for him because they did absolutely nothing to follow up on it. It was a completely wasted victory. It's hard to argue with what you just said in that super chat because we certainly haven't seen much from him since WrestleMania, and even the WrestleMania match was not very good. You know, Cena was in there doing the absolute bare minimum that he could do. And again, they just did nothing to follow up on it. So, hard to argue. Arabian Knight says, if not Cody at SummerSlam, who faces Roman and why not Jey Uso? Hey, don't forget that it was our Irish friend Conor McGregor who was teasing the idea of a SummerSlam match with Roman Reigns. Don't discount the possibility. Roman Reigns and Conor McGregor at SummerSlam. Yeah, because that's the match they need to do. Keyshawn Johnson. Tony Khan said that he would never run WrestleMania weekend. Do you think that he and any promotion that doesn't is losing out on potential money? Thank you for everything. Oh, they're absolutely losing out on money. Of course. Look, WWE would not hesitate to step all over a big AEW weekend. Right? They're doing it this weekend with Double or Nothing. So if I were Tony Khan, I would definitely be... I know it's all madness with all the different shows and everything. I think he's crazy for not running WrestleMania weekend. Whether I'm not even saying a pay-per-view necessarily, but just running some kind of event in the general area wherever WrestleMania may be. I think it's crazy. Why not capitalize? Darius Harris, thank you for the $9.99. Appreciate that. Slim Yoshi with the $10 super chat. Hey, Solomonster, what would your reaction be if Cody won Money in the Bank and instead of calling his shot at SummerSlam, he calls his shot for WrestleMania 40? I would find it fun. Oh, that would be incredibly stupid. That would be very, very... You would laugh. I wouldn't find it so funny. I just think that would be incredibly dumb to win Money in the Bank and then immediately announce that I'm going to cash in 9 months from now. 10 months from... Why would you do that? Why would you do that? No, that is not a good idea. Turtlehead. If you haven't already, I encourage you all to watch 92 WCW Saturday Night. NWO era was more profitable, but there is some good stuff on those shows. I concur. I, at the time, would go over to my grandparents' house because they had cable. Not specifically to watch that, but my grandfather would usually have on WCW. I was always a WWF guy. But I would watch, and so I got to see, Vader and Sting and Cactus Jack. And who else was around in 92? I guess Rick Rude was there too in 92. Rick Rude, Stunning Steve Austin, Flying Brian, Too Cold Scorpio. Ricky Steamboat might have been back around that time. Yeah, I mean, they had some incredible talents on that show at the time. I don't know what year they're up to on Peacock, if they have 92 Saturday Night on there. I hope they do. If they do, I would encourage everybody to go check it out. Slim Yoshi says, also, good luck this weekend covering all these shows over the weekend. Thank you, sir. I shall do my best. Booba just got home and tuned in. About to rewind your stream to see what happened on SmackDown. Hopefully it was good. Wait until you hear the very loud and exciting crowd reactions to everything on the show. And totally natural, too. Arabian Night 2000 says, Rollins against heel Drew at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. Book it. I think a heel turn for Drew McIntyre makes a lot of sense. Whether Drew McIntyre wants to go heel is up to Drew McIntyre, apparently, because that's one of the reasons we haven't seen him back yet. Some creative issues with WWE. And it has me wondering if it has to do with whether or not he would be going heel or not. Yeah, 92 also has my all-time favorite War Games match, which was Sting Squadron against the Dangerous Alliance. That was from, I think it was Wrestle War in 92. 92 and 93. Business-wise, it might have been in the shits, but not in the shits. It might have been the shits for WCW. It wasn't much better for WWE, but there was some damn good stuff going on in WCW at that time. And Vader as the champion, Vader had a great run as the champion during that period of time. He really did. He had great matches with Sting, Davey Boy Smith, Cactus Jack. Then Hogan came in '94, and you know the rest of that. Derek Fleming Jr. says, favorite gift or toy as a child? I had the Ghostbusters, all the Ghostbusters gear. So I had a proton pack with the gun. I had the, oh God, what do they call it? The thing with the foot pedal that traps the ghosts. Forgot the name of it. I had all that stuff. All my Ghostbusters gear. Love that shit. Love it. Scotty the Body with a $10 super chat says, hey Solo, thank you for all you do. Who had more lust in their eyes? Hulk Hogan for Elizabeth in 1989 or Samoa Joe for Wendy in 2018? Get some rest and feel better. Hogan, definitely. Hogan completely lusted over Elizabeth. Nothing the Macho Man said was incorrect. Everything the Macho Man said was totally true. I may not have realized it as a young wrestling fan, but as I got older and wiser, I realized that everything Macho Man said was 100% true. Nothing Hogan has ever said has been based in 100% truth. Arabian Night says, do you think Jacob Fatu would bypass NXT? He should. He should. I mean, he might want to go there first. I know AJ Styles later on, I think, made that comment. He said he wishes he had stopped over first in NXT. They get you ready there for how they shoot television and where the hard camera is and how to position yourself. So, I mean, there can be benefit to making a pit stop in NXT, but should he be there? Does he have to pass through NXT first? No, he doesn't. He's main roster ready right now. Are you fucking kidding me? That guy should be on Raw or SmackDown on day one if he ever signs with them. It'd be crazy to have him anywhere else. Why was Hogan always sweaty in the 80s? It's a lot of baby oil. You ever notice that? When Hogan would be in the back for a promo with Mean Gene, he'd be all glistening. He'd be all oiled up. He would come out for the match, he'd be bone dry. Bone dry. Comes out in a promo, though, backstage, you can see your reflection off his leathery skin. It's almost like they did that earlier in the day. The Rock versus Sting. With the $9.99, hey, Rock versus Sting, thank you very much. I had a random question, he says, from all the WCW World War. You transpose those words. From all the WCW World War III pay-per-views, which year had your favorite three-ring battle royal? I will tell you, I never liked those battle royals. I hated the three-ring battle royals. They were too busy. Too many guys in there who had absolutely no chance of winning. It'd be like, when you would have Virgil and fucking Nasty Boy Knobs in the Royal Rumble. And what a waste that was. Now magnify that by like 3 or 4 times because they had 60 people. So I guess double it then because the Rumble had 30. So it was just too much. It was too much. I never liked it. I didn't have a favorite one. Wasn't there one where Savage won, but like Hogan fucked him over in some way. Hogan always fucked him over. I don't know. That might have been 95 maybe. 95 or 96. No, it wasn't 96. It was before the NWO. But yeah, I never liked World War III. I just didn't. Keyshawn Johnson, who has the legitimate world championship? Sonata in New Japan has the legitimate world championship. Hey, Zizu. Thank you for the gifted membership. Who'd that go to? Trey Broughton. You can thank Zizu for becoming a channel member. All right, so I set the goal kind of low for tonight for Be the Booker. Modest goal. I set it for 300. You guys have boosted it over 400. So give yourselves, actually, I will give you a round, like, give yourselves a round of applause. Oh, here you go. There you go. Kevin Dunn ain't the only one who can manipulate crowd noise, motherfucker. There you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and be the booker right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now
time
to be the booker.
Goddamn right. There you go. Be the booker time. You guys smashed. You didn't just beat the goal, man. You smashed it. Smashed it. All right. Let's see. We may end up doing Be the Booker 3 times in these next 3 days. That's going to rest on you guys, whether we hit the goal. We hit the goal tonight. We begin here with the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, and I found the most ridiculous photo of. Oh man, look at his face. Look at his face. Is that not the goofiest picture of the British Bulldog that you've ever seen? And then I look behind him and I get very sad because there's Andre the Giant, who was not in a good physical state at all at this point. So we begin with the British Bulldog. Let's see who he's going to be. Brett, I'm fooked. I'm fooked, Brett. He looks fooked, yes. Bulldog one-on-one with Hulk Hogan. That's a pretty big marquee match. British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith from 92 here against the red and yellow Hulk Hogan. This looks like it also could have been from 92. Actually, this picture, I'm going to say this picture is from 91. This was 91 probably. Could have been 92, but I'll say 91. Hulk Hogan and the British Bulldog. There's a classic WWF match that we never got. Speak of the devil. Got some news on Hulk Hogan as well to share with all of you. We got some Hogan news on the podcast this Sunday. All right, let's go over to the women's side. We kick things off here with Renee Young. Renee Paquette. A woman of many names. It's going to be Renee. I've never seen Renee wrestle before. I mean, she wrestles John Moxley every night, but Renee one-on-one with Rhea Ripley. I like that match for many reasons, in fact. I will not get into all of those reasons, but I have to give that the bell treatment here. Rhea and Renee. Oh my. There you go. Rhea and pretty much anybody, I would say. Don't mind me. We go over to the tag team side. Tag team side of Be the Booker has lots of great tag teams to choose from here, but unfortunately we can only choose 2. And we begin with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter looks psychotic here in this image. I like it. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Now we just need to land on a women's team. What are the chances? We only have, I think, 3 or 4 women's teams out of, 100 and... What do I have here? 120 maybe teams, I think. It's going to be Jamie and Britt against the Killer Bees. Killer Bees were pretty good. They might be able to turn that into a good match, but unfortunately, it was not meant to be. We will have to settle for 2 out of 3, arguably 1 out of 3. Thank you. Thank you very much. You wanted sound effects for Be the Booker. There you go. I forgot that was still on. There you go. Really, it probably should have been 1 out of 3, but I was a little partial there to Rhea and Renee. Well, the good news is we have another stream tomorrow, and if you guys hit the goal tomorrow afternoon, we'll get to try over again in less than 24 hours. What a horrible card. You think you could book a better card with a random generator, huh, Jason? What kind of name is that anyway? What kind of shitty name is that? Gabe Sanchez. What is the biggest upset in Mania? Cody not winning or Sheamus not winning? Cody not winning is not the biggest upset ever, but it's much bigger than Sheamus not winning. So, I mean, Cody not winning would easily be my pick there. Biggest upset in Mania would have to be the end of the streak. WrestleMania 30. I will never, as long as I live, forget the reaction, being in the building that night, the reaction when that referee counted 3. I don't think I will ever be at another wrestling show ever again where I will be part of a reaction like I was that night in that building. Unbelievable. All right, you guys turned up tonight here on a Friday night for what I figured would be a relatively quiet night with a throwaway episode of SmackDown, but you turned this into a very fun stream. I love all the support. Silver Tower coming out again tonight. Of course, Fahad, my God. It's the biggest super chat I think we've had on the channel here in a very long time, as far as just one big super chat bomb that he dropped on us tonight. So I'm going to be back with you in a matter of hours. As soon as Night of Champions is over, I'm thinking 4-ish, 4:30 Eastern, probably around there is when I'll be going live on YouTube. And should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. I think on paper, Double or Nothing has the strongest of all 3 pay-per-view cards this weekend, that Night of Champions and NXT. But we're going to get some good wrestling this weekend, so that's something to look forward to. So that's tomorrow. Episode 810 of the Sound Off will drop on Sunday, as always, and then Sunday night, but let's be honest, probably early Monday morning, is going to be the live Double or Nothing recap that will take us into Memorial Day on Monday. And I sure hope that you guys, if you are celebrating here in this country, if you are stateside, that you will have a resting, relaxing day off on Monday, and I will hopefully not be any sicker tomorrow than I am right now. Please, let us hope. let us hope we can get through this weekend okay. That is all I am hoping for right now. So be well, stay safe, have yourselves a good Friday night, rest of your Friday night, or Saturday morning, I guess, and we'll do it all over again tomorrow afternoon. I will see you right back here for the Night of Champions recap. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow, guys.
One more for the bad guy. All by yourself. You didn't need it. You didn't need this. You could have done it yourself. Sam, come. Come earn your pay. Come earn your pay, Sam.
Don't call like that.
What's the face for?
Oh.
Come on, Sam, do your job.
Oh.
So, Brian XL, did you feel proud of yourself after hitting a woman, Mayu Yamashita, with a chair tonight?
Can I get this?
Please.
I got this.
Please.
Sam, you got a problem? It sounds like you're taking it a little too personal. The bookers don't discriminate against anyone. But I know you do. Aren't you buddy-buddy with the main event?
I'm an unbiased contributor here. I'm just here to do my job.
It seems like you have an issue with us. Do you have an issue with us, Adrian?
Where's Rocky, huh?
What's the...
I know we haven't really been formally introduced here, but I've been getting complaints nonstop from referees, from people. They see what you guys have been doing. I see what you guys have been doing. I'm not blind to what's been going on here. Well, I am here to make a little announcement. I want you guys to be aware of something. I know that you guys chose main event's opponents on the last show.
You did.
I just wanted to come face to face, man to man, and let you know that on the next show, June 16th, I'm going to be choosing your opponents.
First of all, who are you?
Who am I? I'm here on behalf of Mr. P.
This is a this thing. I don't know.
Well, that's a that thing,
Yeah.
but I'm a Mr. P thing. I'm here on behalf of Mr. P. Exactly. June 16th, You guys are going to be in action against opponents of my choosing, and you'll find out at that time who they are. Sam.
Gladly. Any comments?
You can go now. You can go. Bye.